Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Okay, what do we got? Find My Mac and Activation Lock. What you should know. And you should really stop buying computers with Activation Lock from Apple. Anyways, Find My Mac. What a joke that is. I changed my password today because I change it every once in a while. And I left one of my Macs turned off. I'm like, anyways, it did give me an option when I was changing my password. Would you like to have it sign out of all of your devices at once? Sure, why not? I'll set them all back up anyways. I'm going to have to do it anyhow. So whether they're powered up or not. So it even signed out of that one. Now, because that one was powered off, it still signed out of it, off the accounts. So I did have to manually go back in after I turned it on. However, it also lost the capability of tracking because it also was turned off. It knew it was in the list, but it still said, would you like it signed out of? And I'm like, yeah, all devices? Sure, give her, man. Like, go. And so anyways, but it couldn't track it. It could only still locate the other three that were powered up, mainly my Mac Mini and my iPad and my iPhone. They were powered up, so it was able to locate them regardless, but it signed out of all of them anyway. So when I did fire up the MacBook Pro 2012, it said, hey, credentials, need some credentials here, sign in. Okay, fine, no problem, I'll sign in, set up, yeah, you authorize it, yep, sure, type this in, sure, okay, you're done. And I do that for all my devices regardless, but that one was not able to be found. So Find My Mac cannot actually find your device if it's powered off. So if it gets stolen, and it gets turned off or the battery dies, and now they're going to have to figure out how to recharge it. But anyways, if it's stolen and it's turned off, you can't track it. So reporting it to the cops and saying, hey, can you go collect it? It's over here. They can't because you don't know where it is on the planet now, right? You got to wait till it's powered on again, which means you're going to have to sit on your computer for a long time and wait. Anyways, so that's a bit of a problem with the Find My Mac thing. So that's a bit of a problem. However, you can have it locally erase the thing so the next time it is powered on, it wipes it. Okay, so that's kind of neat. Yeah, only do that if you had it stolen or, yeah, you just want to be safe anyways because you lost it at the party. And somebody else may have picked it up and go, ooh, look, free phone. Yeah, try and really, activation locked. What do you mean? There's where activation lock comes in to be a pain in the butt. Okay, now, for stolen or lost stuff, yeah, good thing if you have it wiped and then they have to activate it and they can't, right? So it prevents them from reactivating and using your device, which is perfectly a good idea. So activation lock does have its good points. But the bad point of activation lock is simply this. If you buy a computer, okay, like a laptop or a desktop, that has activation lock on it, okay, or phone, iPad, whatever. It has activation lock. You're not getting back into it unless you have not only the email address but the password. You'll notice too on the activation lock screen, it will show an email address, but it's mostly blanked out. It'll say at whatever, okay, but it'll say usually the first initial of the address, and you kind of have to figure out, well, what's the heck the rest of it? You're not getting back into that thing unless you have the actual email address and the password, right? So if you bought a computer on Marketplace or eBay that was activation locked, you're not getting back into it. Even if they say, just contact Apple, they'll be more than happy to help you out in this. Now, an eBay receipt is not, by the way, proof of purchase for Apple. I had a long chat with them today. And yep, that doesn't count. Any kind of receipt you get from anywhere except from the store that it was bought from is considered void to Apple. They don't care. It is not proof of purchase. You must have original proof of purchase. So even if you bought the Mac used, okay, and the person actually screwed up somehow, I mean, people, I get it. You want to sell your computer, but do it the right way, would you? Sign out, take it off the cloud, and format the sucker, and don't even think about reloading because computers now from Apple that come with activation lock and their devices as such, if you try to reinstall the OS, it wants you to activate it before it allows you to install it. Okay? It's not going to do it any other way, right? And even with the Mac systems, I mean, you can go online to the server, right, for installation, right? Great, fantastic. Oh, activation. Let's activate this thing. I don't have the email address and password. I got an idea. Let's start this up with a USB stick. Let's do it off the internet. We could do that, right? You think? No, actually, you can't. I've been experimenting. You can't do it with a USB stick. You can't even do it with a USB stick and an external drive that's not part of the system, because see, the information is not kept on the computer itself, it's kept on Apple servers. So whoever registered that Mac in their name, that it was legitimately accessible to, right? That's on the server, and every freaking time you go to reload your Mac, it wants you to activate it, right? Even if you didn't sign out, because I mean, I reload my Mac, I don't sign out of the thing because it's in my possession. I'm not going to sign out of it. I'm just going to say, hey, let's go rip this thing a new one and format it and reload it clean and get a nice fresh OS on there and rejuvenate my software, and away we go. Well, it still wants me to activate the Mac anyways. Well, I have my ID, I have my password, so yeah, I can just say, okay, activate it, boom. Then it starts the OS install. It won't start it any other way. There's no other way around this. I've tried every 16 ways to Sunday. So I've been doing a lot more experimenting since I started getting more back into my Apple stuff that I kind of neglected for many years because I just wasn't working for Apple people anymore. And I shut down my own stores, so I just figured, well, whatever. But I've been getting things back up to snuff, so I've been thinking, okay, well, now we got all this extra security we never had before. Like, it was so easy to get used Macs and stuff at one time and just reload an OS and resell it as a used Mac. It was too simple. But ever since the T2 chip security stuff started, and now we got that, Find My Mac and Activation Lock, and the M1s are even, and M2s are even tighter than anything with a T2 chip. I mean, there's just no way around this. Apple has locked things right up. We got better security on a Mac than Fort Knox has. I mean, seriously. There is nothing more secure on this planet than a Mac at this point. And it is actually at the point where it's almost sickening and can just really cheese you off, right? I mean, people at times, they can forget their stuff. But, honestly, when you're running a computer, period, you should be writing down email addresses that you use and passwords for whether it's a website or, in this case, your computer system to register your computer. I mean, you should be writing that stuff down and keeping it somewhere safe, right? This way, in case of an event your item does get stolen, at least they don't have your passwords if they're locked up somewhere else. And memorizing your password doesn't always work. The older we get, we start to forget stuff, right? And the more complex you make your password, you might want to consider writing it down. I just did a new password for my computers today that is like this freaking long. And it's like, I'll never remember that. It better be written down. So anyways, but you should be doing this. This way, if you do sell your Mac and you don't do the disconnect properly from, the cloud and all that for the new owner, at least they won't get locked out because you would have done it properly, right? And if you didn't do it properly, at least you have your info. You can say, yes, I'll sign into my Apple thing on the cloud. I will remove it from the account, and then you're free to just sign back in. And you don't even have to have the device near you. They don't anyways. You can just do this all from home. They talk on the phone. Yep, it's off. Okay, good. Let's restart the process again. Okay, good. It's gone through. We're fine and happy. It's that simple, right? But when you get into situations where you may not be dealing with the original person because they may have got screwed from somebody else, well, that's why. Because that person couldn't get it unlocked from Apple either. They're going to go screw somebody else, and somebody else will screw somebody else, and it just keeps going down the line until somebody actually smartens up and says, no! Back, Satan! Okay? I mean, there's a 2020, I think it is, M1 MacBook Pro right now on Marketplace. One of many Macs, okay? Anyways, guy bought it and said, right after I paid him for it kind of deal. He wiped it on me and locked me out of the system. And it's like, so in that case, I would go back and find that guy and say, hey, what's your problem? I just paid for you this. and you locked me out of it. Huh? Unlock it, pal. Now, if that guy was the exact owner, he would have had the ability to do that, which apparently he did. So in that case, the guy should be reasonable enough to say, okay, I'll go and remove it. Sorry about that. Da da da. And you're fine. You get the thing unlocked. But, Apple only has so many ways. Proof of purchase, which is the original bill of sale, or you got to convince the original owner yourself to unlock this thing. And if you don't know who the original owner is, that becomes a bit of a challenge. However, I would think you should be able to give the serial number and model number to Apple. They could search it out, find out who the owner is, locate them for you, and be an intermediary, which on their website does say they have the ability to do that. However, Apple support in Canada here seems to tell me no, but I'm like, huh? I think we're missing some wires here because your website does say you could work as an intermediary with the original owner, but that's with the original owner. Now, did the original owner have this thing stolen from them? In which case, well, there should be a cop report because Apple can't track a stolen device as far as saying, oh, give me your serial number and model number and I'll find out if it's been reported stolen. Apple doesn't have that ability apparently, according to what they told me today. Only the cops have that ability because the cops would have been given the model and serial number from the original owner if it was stolen, and then it's logged into a database, so it becomes basically nationwide or however wide it goes. And then this way, you should be able to hopefully locate the computer again somehow. But you should be able to with Find My Mac anyways, as long as you sign back in on a computer. It can be any computer. You can sign in on a PC to the iCloud and go, hey, track my systems. Where is it right now? And boom, you can send the cops to go collect it. But Apple doesn't actually get involved with the whole police thing, right? Which I've heard mixed stories about that too. So I asked Apple today about it, and they're like, no, we don't get involved. You can give us a serial number, model number. We have no way of knowing if that's a stolen computer you have. But we're also not going to unlock it for you either because you don't have proof of purchase. And I said, well, what happens if the original owner is being just unreasonable? Nothing we can do about it. We can't force them to take it off their account and let you into it. That's their choice. If they want to be a wienerhead with you, that's up to them. And that does happen quite often. People are just, that pissy. And I don't know why, but they kind of are. But if you look at Marketplace, you'll find a lot of really exciting deals. There's even one up here for $200, but it's activation locked. And it's like, yeah, but if there's no way around this, especially on M1s and M2s, yeah, and the T2 chip, you still got to prove it's your computer, or the tech is not going to reprogram the T2 chip. So one way or another, you got to prove this thing is yours. And you can't prove anything on a private deal because you don't have an original bill of sale. If you do get a receipt from a marketplace person because you're buying it for business and you need it as an expense, so you need that kind of a handwritten receipt, that doesn't count with Apple either. They don't care. They want original bill of sale, period. Okay, or you go about it the other way with the original owner. And that's it. That's the only way. So now we know why there's so many of these things that are bricked and in recycle centers and dumps everywhere because of this sort of shenanigans. So there has actually been a lot of computers that were stolen and people just sold them as locked because the criminal tried to get through and he couldn't or she couldn't. And they decided, oh, I'm just going to sell this thing and screw somebody with it and get some money out of it that way for my trouble of thieving it, So, I would say totally avoid with all cost. If it's a computer that's activation locked listed, don't touch it. If it's not listed that way, then I would make sure, and Apple even told me this today, make sure that when you are buying a used Mac from anybody, that you have them sign out of that thing in front of you and remove it. And remove it from their iCloud account completely before you hand them any money. But also make sure everything works perfect first. Then at least you can reload the thing yourself, put your own credentials in, and you are good to go. Because that is the only thing you can do when it comes to used equipment on private sales. Now on eBay, things get a little dicier because Apple still won't get involved with any eBay sales whatsoever, okay? They just don't do that, okay? So you have to go through the whole PayPal thing and fighting about it. and but if the sale is listed as final sale, well, you are literally screwed, and the seller can get away with selling you basically a dead machine, and there's no recourse because it's listed as is where is. So yeah, and even if they did say, well, Apple would fix you up, then don't believe it because it's a lie. Apple won't fix you up. I already verified that today with Apple myself, and that's what I'm telling you. Anyways, be careful about it, before you start buying this stuff. Just stay away from it, okay? It's more trouble than what it's worth. I don't even know at this point if you can even just buy a whole new motherboard, even for an M1 or an M2, and just slap it in yourself and fire it up and go. Because there's also some little things about that too, but I will be looking into that further. I'm going to call one of the local shops to the area that Apple authorized that actually hopefully has had experience with this, because, well, Apple themselves, they don't do anything themselves. That's why they have technicians scattered throughout everywhere. So they couldn't answer that question if a new motherboard replacement would actually be something I could just do or you could do, and just put one in. Because a brand new motherboard, it's not tied to the computer, so, with ID and stuff, because it hasn't been programmed yet. So maybe, but do we also have to have software for it to recognize the screen, the keyboard, the mouse track, all that stuff, right? We don't know, and they don't have an answer. Only the technician shops do. And my knowledge is still limited because I'm still retraining and I don't know everything yet. So, I got to ask some questions myself before I give you answers on that. But what I did give you today is the most up-to-date information. And a lot of it, of course, is definitely coming right from the horse of Apple's mouth. And I've done my own experimenting as well, too, on this sort of thing. And yeah, when you're locked out, man. I mean, there's only so many ways that this can be handled. So, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll definitely catch you on the next one. See ya.